that couldn't make it. Alrighty, so we are Miami ResilientSea, and so the goals with this webinar are to welcome you to ResilientSea, to the team, and go over the mission of the project, introduce you to our collaborators, our activities, and also get a chance to answer any questions that our audience, you, may have tonight. So I invite you all to let us know first how you heard about this webinar. Now, forgive me, I took a shot at creating a poll for us, and I'm gonna launch it. It's gonna be the whole thing. It's not the separate questions. So let me go ahead and I think only the folks that were already here can see it. But let me end that one and start a new one so that other folks that join could see it. But as we go through the presentation, I'll cue you on what to answer, what poll question to answer, because I didn't do it separately. So I'd like to first know, how did you hear about tonight's webinar? Was it through our socials, our email lists, or other socials of our collaborators? I really would like to know how you heard about tonight's evening. And while you do that, I'll go ahead and jump to the next slide. And so simply put, Miami ResilientSea is a space for all of Miami-Dade to do awesome things as community. So you see here a couple images of our team and community members that have been involved so far. And Miami ResilientSea is a hands-on, holistic initiative that unites science, education, and grassroots action to advance climate resilience across Miami-Dade County. Let me check on this poll here, see what's going on. Are you guys able to see the poll, by the way? I don't see any responses yet, but do let me know if you see any. Are you guys able to see the poll? Let me know. Someone let me know. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm seeing some stuff come in. And so yeah, I'm just curious to know how you heard about this event. So again, a couple of images here you'll see as it relates to some of the activities that we have going on or plan to have happen as part of resiliency. And so to quickly introduce the core team members here, my name is Gloria Blaze. I'm the project manager. My background is in ecology and community natural resource management. Maya Garrison is our MPS intern. She's traveling at the moment, but she created this amazing presentation for us. And of course, Dalton Hesley, he's managing the grant and directing the activities alongside myself. So I just wanted to introduce the core team, and Dalton will be able to speak a bit more about what he does Rescue Reef later on. But here's our core team at the UM on the UM side. Okay, so about the Miami Community ResilientSea project. So why resiliency, why now, and why the communities that we're trying to prioritize? And so Miami ResilientSea aims to address urgent climate and environmental challenges. And that is because we recognize that Miami is ground zero for the climate crisis, changing environment. It sticks out in the ocean like a sore thumb, so it's there. And so we recognize also the inequity in resources and access to some of the programming in Miami that aims to help communities be more involved in some of the climate and environmental things happening around us. And also, it's fun and empowering to do things to help protect your community, but to learn about ways that you can be involved, however small, in the environmental programming happening around Miami-Dade. And a bit of background on the project itself. It's a 3-year project funded by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, aka NOAA. And if you did not know already, NOAA has an office site right across from Rosenstiel School on Virginia Key along the causeway, if you didn't already know. And so, what does this mean in terms of this project and what you're reading here on the screen? It means that this project is what you, the community members, make it. A unique characteristic about this grant-funded project is its flexibility. As we learn more about the interests, challenges, and aspirations of communities and the community residents, we make adaptations that increase or likely to increase the impact of the project. And so think about your typical rigid grant that you might come across. This one is not like that. We're able to learn and adapt, and that's a really awesome aspect of this project. And so, what do we broadly know, and why is Miami's case one worth getting all communities involved? What is the issue? Why does it matter? So, I have a poll question here that asks about what spaces do you enjoy the most in Miami-Dade. So, looking forward to learn to seeing the results there. And I asked that because Miami-Dade has some ecosystems around it that are pretty vital. So while you respond to the poll, I'll go over some details that you see here on the screen. Community action against changes in climate is not consistent across all communities, and that's not just Florida or Miami, but all in all. So not all communities have access to the same resources or the same power or political capital to obtain those resources. So all while Miami-Dade, this is all happening all while Miami-Dade's ecosystems, which are vital, are suffering from the effects of a changing environment. And these effects show up in various ways. Now more than ever, it matters that all communities, especially those likely to be hit the hardest, can learn and participate in activities that help mitigate the effects. So moving on to the next slide. What are we doing about it? What is resiliency doing through these activities that I'll be going into more detail in later? So the project has four major goals, right? So we're aiming to restore coastal habitat. This includes some of the activities I'll go through later, but by partnering with local orgs, a couple are here this evening to talk with us. We're aiming to remove marine debris, plant native species, and restore coral reefs through some of the hands-on activities. We're also aiming to enhance community resilience, empowering residents both in training, education, but also physically out doing the things that are restoring and helping mitigate some of the effects of climate, however small, again, but also linking it to things that are immediately impacting communities, such as flooding, heat, sea level rise, and things of those nature. And we're also engaging meaningfully and building capacity or aiming to build capacity in communities by collaborating again with trusted community groups to co-host events, build relationships, and provide accessible, culturally relevant climate education. And lastly, we're aiming to strengthen ecosystem resilience. So biodiversity is pretty critical. Restoring natural habitats is one way to secure biodiversity, which then of course secures the entire ecosystem and the things that people and other species depend on in Miami-Dade. Who do we serve? I think this is one of the questions that we want to make sure we answer to this evening. So resiliency is prioritizing the most vulnerable communities to the effects of a changing environment or changing climate. And so these communities include Little Havana, Overtown, Alapata, Little Bahamas, formerly West Coconut Grove, and others alike. And so initially, as the group thought about how do we select communities or how do we go forth prioritizing communities, what data is out there to support why we want to prioritize these communities. And so to the left, bottom left of the slide, you'll see we focus on communities facing systemic barriers as defined by NOAA's climate and economic justice screening tool. But as you can imagine, some things have been taken off of the website since certain things took place. But I just want to note that we had that resource to look through as the partners on the grant created that proposal. And so communities here, and I will say that all of Miami-Dade is vulnerable, but with the exception of Coconut Grove and Coral Gables, the level of vulnerability is high in these communities, and the resources available to mitigate the effects of climate are low. And that's also why we are trying to work with communities outside of those two communities. And in this work, we're building on existing work in the sense that our collaborators who are already in these communities to some extent that are doing programming or make programming available to all of Miami-Dade. Through resiliency, we're able to now make their programming targeted. We have an email list that is specifically aiming to gather contacts of people in communities that probably aren't showing up to some of the existing work. So that's a big aspect of our approach here, resiliency. And so our goal is to increase representation and participation in and access to climate resilience and restoration efforts happening around us. As for the key activities or specific activities, We can dive in now. Up first are community workshops that are led by the core internal resiliency team, against myself, Maya, and Dalton. And if you remember early on when I mentioned the unique aspect of this project is its flexibility. With that said, a central activity is hosting community workshops or town halls to interact with communities, share thoughts, challenges, and critical feedback, and get critical feedback. And this whole aspect or activity, the goal is to build trust and make resiliency a collaborative project. And so the image you see here in the center is an image from my first community workshop event that took place in Little Bahamas at the Gibson Education Center. And so that's where we learned that some folks are like, I'm not going out on the boat for half a day. Take us on the land activities. So lots to learn there, and opportunities to get people's real thoughts on the activities that we'd like to offer, but how we can adapt them. And so moving on to the next slide, which talks about the other key activities that happen in the environment. So we're talking about planting 5,000 native coastal species, restoring 2,500 coral colonies, removing 3,000 plus pounds of debris, and hopefully engaging with 2,000 plus community members. So in the poll, I also did indicate, I have a question there in the poll that asks people, which of these activities do you see being a challenge for you to participate in? Like I just mentioned just now that during our workshop with Little Bahamas community, they mentioned we're not getting on the boat for half a day. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how people respond to, people here tonight respond to if there are any activities that you see being a challenge. And then we could talk a bit more about that after the presentation, my section of the presentation. But I actually will pause here just to see if there are any responses so far, so I can note some as I speak. So resiliency email list was the main mechanism for folks finding out about tonight's webinar. Beaches and parks seem to be something that folks are saying is one of the more enjoyable spaces in the Miami-Dade area. So it looks like coral planting, community cleanups, climate training, education, water quality, educational workshops might be some challenges there. So I'd love to talk a bit more about that during the Q&A session or conversation part of the webinar. And so I do want to give a chance to our collaborators here this evening to talk about their orgs and what they do. So you see here, I just brought back the slide again of all the partners and collaborators. And so thank you to those that have responded about your engagements with certain collaborators. So I see Rescue Reef, Debris Free Oceans, and Miami Waterkeeper are institutes or orgs that people here have engaged with. And so what we're going to have happen here is that each collaborator will now have up to 3 minutes to give an overview of the organization and what they may be looking forward to as part of the project. And so before I present the collaborators that are present this evening, I will introduce a key collaborator of resiliency, which is Historic Virginia Key Beach Park. They're not here this evening, but they're an amazing partner. One of the poll questions asks people here, how many of you have visited Historic Virginia Key Beach Park? And I'll take a moment to just discuss a bit about the history of the park. So it was established in 1945 as a beach for African Americans during segregation. It has been a cornerstone of the community, symbolizing resilience and progress. So this project aims to expose more community members to the park and hopefully make an extension of communities. It'll serve as a central hub for a lot of our community engagement and ecosystem activities. So just looking forward to seeing some folks out there and getting some folks to learn a bit more about the park there. So with all due, we'll now pass it on to Weems to talk a bit about their organization from the representative. And we have Keiko here to represent Weems.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I am the community coordinator for Black Women in Ecology, Evolution, and Marine Science. So we are an international nonprofit with about 800 women globally. And overall, our goal is to increase representation and kind of the influence of Black women in ecology, evolution, and marine science. So through that, we offer a bunch of different community building spaces is how I define them. So we have professional development opportunities for our members, We have mentorship programs, networking opportunities, as well as different wellness programs. And so part of my role in this project has been the creation of internships. So trying to help partners create internships, as well as figuring out ways that we can make sure that Black women are being included. So really excited about this project. We've launched a few internships that you might have seen this year, and we're going to continue to do that the next couple of years. There'll be lots of different opportunities for people to be engaged in that way. So thank you.
Thank you, Keiko. While you were speaking, I was looking at the participant list and I noticed Maya Forbes is here. And I believe Maya Forbes is with Historic. Maya, thank you for being here. I missed the list of participants, but if you wanted to drop anything in the chat or briefly say hi, you're more than welcome to if you wanted to do that. But otherwise, I wanted to acknowledge that you were here and highlight your presence here as a part of Historic staff, Historic Virginia Key Beach Park staff. Alrighty, so let's go over now to Debris-Free Ocean. Amanda is here to represent.
Thank you, Gloria. Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm the Education and Outreach Manager with Debris Free Oceans. We're a local nonprofit that empowers our communities to go zero waste so that we can all have access to clean water and healthy environments. And our role in the Resiliency Project is to actually host inland cleanups, which might sound weird because we're called Debris Free Oceans, but it's to kind of emphasize the fact that 80% of marine debris comes directly from the land. And so by cleaning our streets, we're keeping trash out of our canals, out of our rivers that would eventually make its way to the ocean. And so this year we were focused on Little Havana and we were working with our partners, Healthy Little Havana. And we actually just wrapped up last month our fourth cleanup of the series in Little Havana, where in total we removed over 677 pounds of trash and we logged over 5,400 items of litter using an app called the Marine Debris Tracker. So we're able to not only remove the trash, but see like what are the most common items that can then be used to send to legislators and hopefully influence policy. And we also distributed what we call zero waste toolkits. So we gave out 100 of them, and it's a reusable water bottle with a cutlery set and a bag. And hopefully, through these 100 that we gave out to the community, it will prevent an estimated 50,000 single-use plastics from being discarded every single year. And we really try to make our cleanups fun. So we started off our series with a cultural and historic tour of Calle Ocho. And then we did a plugging event to engage the running community. We celebrated the start of the school year. We did like a back to school supplies swap and a little nature workshop for kids. And then our last cleanup was super fun. We did a cleanup at Thank You Miami, which is a popular bar in Little Havana. And then we all walked together to the Marlin Stadium and then got to watch a baseball game together. So it's, yeah, more than picking up trash, but it's also like building community, making connections, hopefully sparking behavior change, and then just giving to residents the tools to live more sustainably by giving the toolkit and giving the knowledge that's needed to have a zero waste Miami.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Amanda. And again, thank you all for hosting the cleanups in Little Havana this summer. Next up, we have Miami Waterkeeper. I believe Maya Brooks will be speaking about Miami Waterkeeper.
Hi everyone. Yes, I'm Maya Brooks and I'm here on behalf of Miami Waterkeeper. I'm also a residency intern and a member of WEAM, so happy to see everybody here today. Erin, who was also on here, who was our senior education and engagement manager, but she's not feeling too well. But many of you will meet her at some of our events if you volunteer. But I just want to quickly touch on Miami Waterkeeper's mission and what they're about. Miami Waterkeeper is a nonprofit organization with a mission to protect South Florida's waters by advocating for resilient solutions grounded in science, rooted in nature, and driven by community. We have 4 events coming up with ResilientSea Project this fall and winter. We have 2 floating classrooms and 2 marine debris cleanups at historic Virginia Key Beach. The floating classroom is an event where it's like a class on the water, and volunteers can do water quality testing. They also take part of a cleanup and they get to watch the sunset on the water. So it's a really fun and cool event. We do a lot of yoga cleanups and kayak cleanups and stuff. So we try to make the cleanups fun as well. And if you want to sign up for any of our events, we put the link in the message box here. I don't know if you guys saw, but I put it in there earlier. I know a lot of people join later, so if I need to resurface it, let me know. But if you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, excited to meet everybody.
Oh, thank you so much, Maya. Happy to have you with us. So we'll move on now to Frost Museum Volunteers for the Environment. And Shannon is here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Jones, and I'm the Senior Director of Conservation at the Phillip and Patricia Frost Museum of Science. And we have some great conservation programs here. And our first ever conservation program that existed actually way before this building did in 2007 is MOVE. So MOVE stands for Museum Volunteers for the Environment. And it actually was born in 2007 as an eco art project. A local artist named Xavier Cortada had this art exhibit installation across all of Miami in libraries and schools and shops and at an old museum. And the installation was a bunch of mangrove propagules hanging in cups in a grid-like pattern. And that was to symbolize the importance of nature in our urban environment, specifically mangroves for South Florida. And so when that art exhibit ran its course at the old museum, we had these mangrove propagules, and we worked with the artist and decided that we should outplant them, put them in the ground. And so we worked with Miami-Dade County and the city of Miami to decide the best place for them. We planted them, and that's where MOVE was born. So since then, it's been a while that MOVE's been around. We've been moving, no pun intended, to different ecosystems. We still stay pretty close to the coastline. We work on beach dunes, coastal hammocks, all with the goal of restoring coastlines. So we do a lot of removals of non-native vegetation, planting of native plants, beach cleanups. We can't go to the beach without doing some cleanups, and a lot of biodiversity monitoring of our different sites. We have a handful of different sites. For this project, we're focusing on Virginia Key. We're hopefully right now we work at Virginia Key North Point, and we have hopefully on the calendar for next fiscal year to start doing some more partnerships with historic Virginia Key Beach Park. So we're really excited for what that is going to entail. And what our events look like, we host them usually on Saturday mornings. They're complimentary. And individuals show up, and we'll usually do a suite of some of the things I just mentioned, either removing invasives or planting natives. Throughout this project, we do have the goal of planting over 5,000 native coastal plants, and hopefully we even hit a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Shannon. So I'll pass it on to Dalton with Rescue a Reef.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. As you heard briefly earlier, my name is Dalton. I am the grant project director, so kind of just overseeing the logistics administration. But my actual full-time role is with Rescue a Reef, another one of the collaborators for this project. We're a bit unique in that our Rescue Reef program is actually housed within the University of Miami's Coral Restoration Lab. So Dr. Diego Learman directs our restoration lab, where we essentially farm corals, threatened and non-threatened species by the thousand, so that we can then use these underwater gardens as a source for coral research, but also active restoration, where we're actually replanting these living organisms, these corals, back onto local reefs where they belong. We got to a point, though, that Dr. Learman realized that research and restoration alone wouldn't be enough. So he launched the Rescue a Reef program, which is public facing, to better engage the public and kind of work alongside community members to raise awareness on the importance of corals, the problems facing corals, and then what they can do to actually help with conservation and restoration. So Rescue Reef just celebrated its 10th anniversary this year. Very, very cool. So we've had hundreds of individuals come on the boat with us to help plant thousands of corals back in Miami-Dade County. For this project, it's going to look similar. We've actually already hosted 2 of our what we call coral restoration expeditions through the Resiliency Project, with both divers and snorkelers coming in the boat. Through this grant, everything's fully funded, spaces on the boat, any gears, material, as well as lunch, because we want to try and get new individuals on the boat and lower any barriers that might be in their way. So really, really great to see the enthusiasm we've had so far. We still have 12, yeah, just about 10 to 12 more of these expeditions that we're going to organize. So our goal really is to continue engaging broad new audiences because we recognize that, you know, I think it's 66% of Floridians have never experienced a coral reef. So I hope through this project we can help lower that number. But as Gloria mentioned, some individuals just aren't interested or comfortable or capable of coming offshore, and that's completely fine. So we're going to add land-based workshops at our University of Miami's Rosenstiel School, the Marine Science campus, which you can see on the lower right-hand side there. So people can come see the research and the corals and the restoration up close, and hopefully get some hands-on activities along the way.
Awesome. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dalton. So I'll pass it over to Iriola to talk about the CLEO Institute.
Thank you, Gloria. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ira. I'm the Climate Resilient Manager here at the CLEO Institute. If you haven't heard about CLEO, we are a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that is dedicated to climate education, advocacy, and engagement. CLEO stands for Climate Leadership and Engagement Opportunities. And for us, it's about working to really build climate literacy and mobilize climate action for a just and more resilient future. How that translates into our programs is that we have a number of things that we do with high school students through our Climate Resilient Schools program, college students through our Gen CLEO program, empowering resilient women through our ERW program. And so there are just a number of audiences that we look to engage so that they can be aware of the climate crisis that we are all within, and also offer them pragmatic solutions and actions that they can take either through civic engagement and speaking to their legislators, their elected officials, as well as gardening and composting, and recognizing the effects of gentrification. So we sort of go through various topics such as climate justice and what that means and how different areas and groups, pockets in our communities are affected differently by sea level rise, by tree canopies or the lack thereof, or extreme heat and the different variables that a lot of us are engaged with in our groups. So awareness and education is a large part of what we do on a daily basis, as well as advocacy. And so we participate in lobby days in Tallahassee. And we have this incredible program called the Climate Speakers Network, where we are open to all members of the community. And we go through a series of trainings that help people become more confident in speaking about their personal climate story. We believe that the individual stories often are more powerful than the statistics. It's more digestible for the everyday person to understand how extreme heat might affect a family that may not be able to afford keeping their ACs on during the summer heat, as opposed to looking at a chart of numbers and in looking at degrees over time, right? And so the Climate Speakers Network is a way that we're able to engage community members of all ages, and help them to pull out their climate story and talk about how climate change is directly having an effect on their lives, and the lives of the people that they love, and really making this very personal because it is. We try to demystify climate change, and sort of take it from this theoretical thing that a lot of folks are far removed from, and really bring it home to the um, everyday things that we sort of notice, whether that's like the rising cost of our groceries, or the fact that it's harder to host an activity outdoors. And so we really help folks to use their senses so that they can illustrate for others, as well as using that story to be able to speak to their elected officials and have their voices be heard. So we're excited about the upcoming CSN that we're going to be hosting. The date is not yet available, but I will put in the CLEO events page. So when we have a date solidified for this fall, you all will be able to join and be certified as a CLEO CLEO speaker, and you'll be able to just share different elements around your climate story, as well as teach other people how to tell their story.
Thank you so much, Ariola. So we'll kind of jump into our next collaborator slash partner. And I'll invite Dalton to also speak about this one here as well.
Yeah, thank you, Gloria. And I just want to plug that I am a proud alumni of the CLEO Institute's Climate Speakers Network, and it did a phenomenal job. Me being someone who has been in the sciences and does a lot of public speaking, I was still really, really impressed with how much it improved my understanding and ability to talk about these things. So cannot recommend it enough. And I really love that CLEO is a part of this project, because I think all of our community science programs, whether that's dune restoration, coastal cleanups, community cleanups, coral restoration, we do a good job of getting new individuals interested and involved and excited. But the CLEO Institute does a phenomenal job of really putting them into action when it comes to climate readiness and advocacy. So kudos to all the work that they do. So then our final partner for this project that we wanted to highlight, again, isn't the individual is Dr. Rebecca Gruby. She wasn't able to join us tonight, but I'm happy to speak on her behalf. And you'll see it's actually a center within the University of Miami. So it's the Robert K. Johnson Center for Marine Conservation. It's actually a relatively new center. I want to say that they might have recently only celebrated their first or second anniversary, but a really, really great addition to what the University of Miami has and is fostering within the university, trying to better think about how do we use research and conservation to support communities. And so we asked them to be a collaborator on this project as well, so they could really help us learn. And I think that's something we're trying to really underscore for this project, is that this is a project that we hope to learn and grow and improve from every step of the way. So when it comes to the activities themselves, the conversations we're having internally, the conversations we're having externally with community members, we're trying to collect as much information as possible so that we can better understand how our own organizations, as well as other community serving organizations, can be better about building bridges, closing gaps. Because in order for us to really see significant change, like meaningful change, it's going to require a village. And right now, I just don't think all individuals have this information and have the resources they need to be a part of this change. So really excited for what the Johnson Center is going to be able to support in terms of guidance on how do we ask important questions, how do we incorporate them, and then how do we create blueprints for future work? Because this is a 3-year grant and project, but I think I speak for everyone on the call when we say we have no desire to call it quits after 3 years. We really hope that we can use this as, again, a framework to expand and continue the work, and the Johnson Center is going to be a big part of that.
Thank you so much, Dalton. And thank you again to all the collaborators that just gave us a little bit a glimpse of what they do, especially as it pertains to this project. And so, again, thank you. And I wanted to just be able to give us a chance to talk ask questions. So I'll remove my spotlight. I'll bring it back to the group, and I think we can spend some time answering questions, but we can also do a regular conversation after we stop recording. So really about what people are comfortable with, but I'm sure there might be some questions or thoughts or comments that folks would like to share. And that'll be how we get ready to close out the webinar. But if there are any questions, please feel free to either unmute and share, or if you can't unmute, put it in the chat, we'll get to it. So I'll just leave this slide up for now, remove my spotlight, and come back to the group. Please, I see some couple of folks here joining kind of late. Happy to have you all here. So yeah, are there any questions from folks here? Did we do a really, really great job, or or did you have any questions for us or comments? And if not, I
I
do
guess
see.
I've got a
Go
question.
ahead, really, go ahead.
I'm just looking to get involved, but like, is that through going to each individual partner's website and seeing like what events are happening, or
Great question. So we've been able to pretty much compile everything through our email list. So one of the ways that we consolidate everything is through that one email list. Our partners and collaborators do share their events respectively. So I think if you go on their website, usually you'll see the events, but the first way that we get our events out for the resiliency group is through the email list. That way folks, the communities that we're working with, get a chance to, see the events happening, since some of them are limited in space. So the email list is the best way. And I just saw that Maya from Historic Virginia Key Beach Park just put the website on there as well, just in case you want to check out. They have larger events happening at the park that fall outside of resiliency plans. But I think a combination of both. But as for resiliency events, the email list is the best way to learn about all that's happening quickly ahead of some of the more public announcements. All right. Thank you. And I see Dalton just shared the email list there. Thank you, Dalton. So Reginald Charles, I see you came in late. Thank you for coming, my friend. Reginald is heading some work in Little Haiti, some cleanups there. So Amanda, the VFO, there's a group that operates out of Little Haiti that does some cleanups. So we'll be in touch at some point. Thank you for coming, Reginald.
You're welcome.
Of course, of course. And I want to acknowledge Baritha Howard here, who's also part of CLEO, that is also here with us this evening. I want to acknowledge also the Shifting Power Alliance members here. Ivory, I think he was here. He's still here. Hi, Ivory. Precious, Nicole Crooks, and any others I might be missing. I'm taking a look at the poll right now. So it looks like everyone's engaged. There's three folks here that have not engaged with any of the entities here. If you could raise your hand virtually with the Zoom function or let us know in the chat. If you haven't engaged with any of them, are you new to Miami? Did you not know about them? Or I'm curious to know because I know a couple of them. I've seen signs around. I'm not from Miami-Dade, but I've seen signs. So I'm wondering if the three that have not engaged with any of them are not from Miami. Let us know in the chat if you don't feel like speaking. Oh, Ariola, are you speaking, Ariola? I see your lips moving, but
Oh no, I
can't
was
hear you.
reading the chat. Someone said they
Ah,
don't live in Miami.
oh, okay, okay. Oh yeah, Joanna. Hi, Joanna. I remember seeing your name in the email. You're still based up north, correct? I believe so. Okay, okay, awesome. Well, glad to have you here. Okay. Well, I'm trying to see. There's some names here I haven't seen yet before. I don't know if there were any questions that you may have had about the project or whatnot. I'm happy to, be able to converse with folks. If not, we'll let our partners share some final thoughts. I don't want to force folks to ask questions. There's always email after. But I'll just allow the partners to say some final words, if any, and then we can close out the webinar.
Yeah,
So,
sure. I can plug. Our next event is October 18th, and I think that an email blast is going out soon but I can also send a link to the event in this chat right now.
Yeah, no, thank you, Shannon. And yes, CO planting is pretty fun. It's pretty organized. You come on in, dig a hole, and place something in, take a picture, and then do some cleanups. Very awesome. Thank you, Shannon. Amanda, do you have any final thoughts or final things to say before we close out?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that we wrapped up Little Havana, but then next year we'll be back with 4 more cleanups. So we're looking to work in the Eastern Everglades with the Love the Everglades movement. So keep your eyes out for that. It'll be like earlier in the spring when it's not so hot like this summer was.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you, Amanda. Dalton, anything about Rescue Reef? Final thoughts?
With Rescue Reef, we are winding down just because the fall, winter months are windier, and so it's a bit harder to get offshore. But that's where we might pivot to some of our land-based activities. But something I just wanted to stress, more from a project-wide perspective is we really think word of mouth is going to be uh, a huge help for this effort. So if you, a friend, a family member, coworker, you think they might be interested in getting involved, please share that information with them. Hopefully they can try any or all of these different activities. Because something that Keiko mentioned and that we're working with Weems to do is create meaningful internship opportunities. So if people are interested in coastal resilience or coral reefs or water quality, these are real roles that we hope can help create pathways for careers in this field. And there's multiple internships every single year. So again, very cool that Maya was able to join. So I just really hope that people are able to spread the word and get more individuals involved, because what we're trying to, make a difference in this unique space.
Awesome. Thanks, Dalton. Maya Forbes, I see your hand is up. Please feel free to share. Oh, that was a mistake, Maya. Okay. Oh,
Oh,
there you go.
yes. No, I just wanted to speak on behalf of the park again. We're excited about the collaboration. And I did want to highlight, I know Dalton dropped the link, but we also have some collaborations with the ResilientSea coming up in November 23rd and December 14th. We'll be doing some the marine debris cleanups. So again, we're just happy that we have this partnership, and we're tackling some of those barrier to entries in the resiliency space, and we just look forward to the collaboration.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Maya.
And I
Alrighty.
just like to say, hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Ivory. We hear you.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? I just like to say, if you wanna, I know I'm doing I like to mention Dr. Blaze that as you know, I'm doing an Overtown historical walk with you, Maya, and also Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if anybody here wants to join. It will be on the 16th, or get in touch with Dr. Blaze. She'll give the information. And this may be a chance for you to look at how gentrification has played a part on so-called underserved communities, which is really underserved purposely because these underserved communities all around the United States, after urban renewal, generate so much money and tax base for the development that surrounds it. So we're going to be looking at that as one of the many things, and also some of the environmental aspects of environmental injustices in neighborhoods across, but also neighborhoods that were zoned long time ago to have like concrete plants right next to a public park and things like that.
Yeah.
And also from past up to the present. And it'll be an interesting thing if you'd like to come. Once again, get in touch with Dr. Blaze, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And that's for on the 16th, and the 16th, which is two Thursdays from now, right? And I think that's at 11 o'clock.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ivory. for
Thank you
mentioning
so
that.
much.
Yeah, no, and that also makes me bring up the point that as we do some of our activities in communities that have a history or things that you should know about the community, for example, Little Havana and the historic Virginia Key Beach Park, we aim to include historical tours or historical talks about those cities or communities or spaces because we think that those are important things to consider as we try to contextualize these exposures to changes of climate and other things that are variables that indirectly or directly affect community vulnerabilities to the effects of climate change. I see Ariel's hand is up. Feel free.
Yes, no, thank you for that, Keith. I'm super interested. Sign me up.
Okay.
I think that that's a concept that should really exist for all of those other areas as well. But yeah, definitely. I wanted to share if anyone is interested or knows a woman that has leadership potential in your community. They can be as old as 18 or older because we're getting ready to start our Empowering Resilient Women cohort for the rest of the year into 2026. So we have an interest form. If anyone knows anyone or if you yourself would like to be a part of our next cohort, we typically select up to 30 women. So we're more than excited to include any one of you or any partners you know. And also, CLEO has provided some disaster preparedness pamphlets and tools available in Haitian Creole, Spanish, and English. So I'll just drop those links for you all that you can publicly share, print out, and of course, sign up for. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariola. And so I want to also pass it back to Keiko, Dr. Keiko Wilkins. Any final thoughts on the Weem side?
No, I don't think so. Just kind of echoing what everybody else said. We're really excited about this collaboration. It's been really awesome working with all the partners so far. So definitely sign up for the listserv to keep updated. We've got a lot of exciting opportunities coming up. So definitely stay updated, sign up. We also have the Instagram page. And I know a lot of us on Instagram, we also collaborate across different partners. So you can kind of see what we're up to. Yeah.
No. Thank you, Keiko. And again, our intern from Miami Waterkeeper, I want to thank you again. If you had any final thoughts, and if you can plug, we have that event coming up with Miami Waterkeeper as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch on. We do have a floating classroom coming up October 16th this month, which is really exciting. So I'll put the link in the group chat again. If you guys want to volunteer, we would love to have you. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Maya. So yes, so we'll be doing the tour in overtime with Ivory in the morning time, and in the evening we'll be going over to Miami Waterkeeper to do the floating classroom, which is a bay, so it's calm. It's not like up and down. And Maya, let us know if you can send it in the group in the chat. Make sure you're sending it to us. I didn't see it yet. Maybe I was distracted. But again, thank you everyone for being here this evening. It's been an opportunity, an honor to be able to share this project with you all. And looking forward to seeing some of you come out. I know a couple of you may have already joined or plan to join. I also want to acknowledge Angela Fan, who's here as a PhD student over at the Rosenstiel School, and will be helping us do some research in terms of learning as organizations, practitioners, on how to start a project like this, make it work, make it collaborative, and what we learn from the next 3 years as for our approach and ways to make this kind of work not operating in silos. So thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great evening. Thank you for the comments and looking forward to engaging with you all some more. We're about 2.7 months, 2.7 years left or 2.5 years left of this project. So thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Take care. Have a great
Bye.
night.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Same. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Night.